season. Councillor Brunton next, please.
Just very quickly, Mayor Luke indicated an advisory board. Is that the same as the advisory committee, or are we looking at the bottom which says, I'm looking at on page 26, there's the three different scenarios right at the top. One's the advisory committee, one's a municipal services board. You said advisory board.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I considered saying committee. I like the word board over committee. However, if there's something that dictates we have to call it a committee or whatever council wishes, I don't really care whether it's a committee or a board. I personally like the word board. Thank you.
But the intent, Councillor, is that this would be the advisory body, not the Municipal Services Board.
Okay, all right, no, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay, further speakers? I see none. Madam Deputy Clerk, would you please read the motion that you have for us, please? Well, I'm going to have it as board, and if they don't like it, they'll change it, because that's what the mayor put forward. There you go.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Through the chair to committee, moved by Mayor Luke that staff report CSD 1701, governance for the Port Dover Harbor Marina, be received as information, and that council approve the establishment of a Port Dover Harbor Marina Advisory Committee, and that staff be directed to bring forward a report outlining details of the Port Dover Harbor Marina Advisory Committee structure, including terms of reference, etc.
Okay. Councillor Brunton, to the motion.
So would Mayor Luke like to put a time frame on that at all, or?
Mr. Chair, I think I'd better. Mr. Cridlin, I'm suggesting that something come back by the middle of July. We break the second Tuesday of July. I'm really looking to see something in place right after boating season.
Through the chair, I'll jot July down. We'll make it work, and if something does come up, I'll let you know. But I'm looking at Paul's group. I'm going to have to have some public input, I think, even at this stage. And I guess I'm okay, Mr. Lipsett's group, since they were here for the deputation. I mean, it is your decision on what the committee looks like, and I'll have a lot to say. I want to tweak it, but I also don't want to be here in July and have you know what I mean, be at odds. So
I'm trying to keep you busy, Mr. Cridlin. That's 4 months. Do your best.
Thank you very much.
Thank
sir.
you.
Councillor Wells to the motion.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. If I listen to the motion and listen to the time frame, we are not looking at an advisory committee or board, whatever you wish to call it, for this year.
Correct. Although hopefully we would have finished all of our process in establishing the committee prior to the beginning of 2018. That's correct. Further speakers to the motion. And we've added, Mayor Luke, what did you put in, Madam Deputy Clerk, in terms of timing? Mid-July?
I said in July 27th.
In July, okay. So that could be the 31st, although we won't be here. But okay, I'm going to call the question. Those in favor of the motion? Those opposed to the motion?
I just oppose the time frame. I think if we're going to do it, we should have done it this year. But that's all.
Okay. All right, that's fine. The motion does pass. And we'll do it as soon as we can, Councillor. I'm sure everyone's committed to that. Okay, Council, I think with that, and again, I appreciate your work on this, and again, the job was made easier, Mr. Lipsett, as a result of your deputation tonight. I think I can assure you of that, so thank you for that. Let's take a 20-minute break, Council, and so 20 after 7. Council, I think even though it's a minute or so before the 20 minutes after, I think we will start again. Thank you, since you're all back in your seats and staff are as well. If you look at your agenda at the top of the second page, we still have to deal with one piece of correspondence that was received with respect to the marina governance, and that was a letter from Mr. Scott Secord. You all received it, and you've all had a chance to review it. I would like someone to move that we receive it as information. Councillor Wells has done so. Those in favor of that motion? That is carried. Madam Deputy Clerk, you're okay with that? All right, let's move then down to our section on staff reports continued, and this is staff report DCS 17-22, and this is an application to create 38 individual residential lots for the development of townhouse blocks, etc., in Port Dover. And Mr. Baird, that's back to you again.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This development has already received approval, and because it's a condominium development or a townhome, we refer to the process as exempting from part lot control, and that eliminates the need for individual severances for each property as they're completed and sold. So the development, just to familiarize yourself, it's just across the lift bridge if you're heading out of town in Port Dover. It'll be on the north side. There's a few blocks of townhomes now with more to be built, as well as a multi-story apartment building. So planning staff have reviewed it. It meets all the policy requirements, and we're recommending approval.
Councillor Wells, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And Mr. Chair, this application has already been approved? Yes, that's correct. And all the neighbors have had an opportunity to have their input. Am I correct on that?
Yes, absolutely.
And as far as the planning staff is concerned, everything is tickety-boo?
Everything is tickety-boo.
Mr. Chair, I will move the application.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Councillor. Councillor Height?
Mr. Chair, I just have one question through you to planning. Are the roads wide enough for garbage pickup?
Yes, that's all been taken into consideration, Councillor Height.
Most excellent. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any further speakers or questions regarding the staff report? If not, Councillor Wells has moved that application by that numbered company, Mark Bennett, Charing Cross in Brantford, affecting lands described as part of lots 4, 5, and 6, block 75, part of lots 1, 2, and 80, lots 3 to 6, inclusive, and lots 8 to 13, both inclusive, and the rest of the description, be exempted from part lot control, and this is file number PLPL 2015-219, and that be approved for reasons as set out in the staff report DCS 17-22. Those in favor of that motion? I see no. Those opposed? I see no one opposed, so that does carry. Thank you very much. The next staff report we'll deal with is staff report PW 17-14, and this is the award of contract for supply of hot mix asphalt. Ms. Robinson?
Through the chair to council, the report before you this evening is for the award of the contract for the supply of hot mix asphalt. We use this for padding of the roads and other maintenance requirements throughout the course of the year. This year, the report or the award is being done slightly differently. What we have done is we're recommending the award to a variety of different suppliers, and at the time that we are going to use the asphalt, because it's something that we have to buy, pick up, and use immediately, it can't be left sitting anywhere. And we are going to calculate the hauling distance from the facility to the site, and then do the cheapest one for that one. That's why it's done this way. It gives us the most flexibility to ensure we receive the best price. Because of the large geographic area of Norfolk County, it's entirely possible that different places will end up being cheaper depending on where we're working in the county, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I see several. I'm going to start with Councillor Black, Columbus, and then Height. Please.
I don't have any questions. I just want to move the report, and I think it's a smart move on part of staff, and I'd like to thank him for that. So I'm moving the motion.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Councillor Columbus, and then Height, please.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I will support the motion, and I'd like to read here, this represents an overall rate decrease of 4.5% for 2017. Good news.
We don't get to do that very often, do we? Councillor Height?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have a question to Public Works. Is it because of the distances traveled that COCO was able to even get any of this business? When I look at your chart, they're considerably higher.
Through the chair to council, we don't know definitively that they will get any work. It'll depend on where we're working, and we'll do those calculations at that time, and we'll calculate from each one of the 3 facilities which is going to be cheaper. We did do a calculation, and there is a small area of Norfolk County where it will be cheaper to haul in from the COCO facility.
Okay, thank you.
Good question, though, Councillor. Councillor Brunton?
Just a question through you to Lee. Where is Coco's plant?
Off the top of my head, I can't they provided us a couple of different facilities, and I don't remember the exact locations, but I can certainly provide that information tomorrow.
Just curious, because I know I'm not familiar with their mill. Anyways, thank you.
You're welcome. Mayor Luke?
Just a question, if you'll allow it, through you to Lee. When I read and saw the decrease in the price of 4.5, mind you, it's not tens of thousands of dollars, but it is the right direction. My first thought is, is there any chance we could do some more work than what we originally budgeted? Then I went on to read that should additional purchases be required due to the spring breakup, you'll bring another report. So there is that chance that you may come back saying, we can do some more work here. Is that a fair statement? Because I think it's something we really should seriously consider.
Through the chairman to council, yes, that's a fair statement. That is staff's intention.
Okay,
at the same time, we want to make sure that we spend those dollars effectively. So we really need to have the full spring breakup evaluated before we make those decisions.
Now your light's out, I'll say thank you. Sorry.
Thank you, Mayor Luke. Seeing no further speakers, Councillor Black has moved that staff report PW 17-14, award of contract for the supply of hot mix asphalt be received as information, and that the contract PWR 1705, supply of hot mix asphalt of various types, be awarded to Dufferin Construction, Oxford Sand and Gravel, and Coco Paving, Inc., and further that the mayor and clerk manager of council services be authorized to execute the contract agreement or agreements. Those in favor of that motion? I see no one opposed to it, so it is carried. Thank you for that. Our next report then is staff report PW 17-15, which is the Port Dover Water Treatment Plant temporary filtration. Ms. Robinson again.
Through the chairman to council, this is an information report to advise you of some of the current conditions at the Port Dover Water Treatment Plant. The clarifier is a very important integral part of our system. There is no backup or redundant system from when the facility was designed. As it currently stands, there's significant deterioration on the exterior of the tank. We had it inspected from what they could see physically from the outside, and we do not have the ability to drain the tank and inspect it and still provide water for Port Dover. So we are bringing in a temporary filtration system to allow us to be able to drain that and investigate it. And it's entirely possible that the tanks may not be fit for service and therefore may not be able to put back in place. As council is well aware, we currently have a capital project for works to be done at that facility for the 2017 budget year. And so we will be reporting back on how the inspection, et cetera, goes, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much for that. And Mayor Luke first.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to move the recommendation. This work is critical, and there will be no disruption for service at this point. So I think let's get on with this. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Columbus.
Yes, Lee, any thought of what this clarifier tank would be valued at?
Through the chairman to council, they're typically in the millions of dollars range.
Okay.
And and as I had indicated, we already have a project to be doing work at that facility. And so the information that we can gather from the inspection will be extremely helpful for our design for how we intend to proceed with that facility.
Big bucks. Oh.
Councillor Wells.
Mr. Chair, I just want to congratulate Miss Lee. How easily that millions rolled off her mouth. Thank you.
We're only renting, thank goodness. Although I guess we'll have to put one in eventually. Any further questions or speakers regarding the motion? If seeing none, Mayor Luke has moved that staff report PW 17-15 Port Dover Water Treatment Plant temporary filtration be received as information. Those in favor? I see no one is opposed, so it is carried. And that then allows us to move along to our next staff report, which is staff report PW 17-17, and this is now the Delhi Wastewater Treatment Facility filters and UV upgrades. Lee, please.
Through the chairman to council, as previously reported, as part of the upgrades to the Delhi wastewater system, the Ministry of the Environment and Climate Change required us to put in the facility filters and the UV. This report in front of you is for the award of that contract to H2 Ontario. Staff are confident that they're able to undertake the work. We've worked with them before in the past, and we're also pleased to report that this project has actually come in underneath what the engineer's estimate has indicated, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Councillor Black first, then Columbus.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you to Lee. Yeah, I'm just wondering, like, do all of our facilities have the same sort of thing in it? Or is it just based on the differences between the facilities or what? The Port Rowan has one of these, doesn't it? Like the Simcoe or?
Through the chairman to council, it depends on the age of the facility. So effectively, if we start doing any sort of work at the facility that changes our drinking water licensing, the Ministry of the Environment and Climate Change has the ability to come in and tell us that we have to do additional work and change our criteria, et cetera. So some of our facilities have this. This is the way that the ministry is going. So eventually all of our facilities will have to have this. Fortunately, so far, the ministry is not going retroactively into facilities. They're waiting until you're doing work before imposing new requirements.
So Waterford will probably require this then?
Waterford's treatment system is a lot different, but it will have something similar, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Columbus, then Wells, please.
Yes. Mr. Chairman, before I move the recommendation, a couple questions. At the bottom of page 52 of the agenda, it talks about the budget for this project was increased in 2015 to $19,400,000. Okay, and then if you look on page 53 of the agenda, it has actual cost to date in that chart, far right column, and then the approved capital budgets. I take it that's to date. So how much are we actually going to be spending with this approval of this contract? What will the total cost be, in fact, in the end?
Through the chairman to council, the value of this contract is $3,535,049. So we will still be under the budgeted amount of $19,400,000. I don't have the exact final figures. Yeah, but yes. We're very fortunate. This contract came in significantly less than we had originally anticipated. So we're quite pleased with that because it does look like we're going to be able to save some money.
Okay. Well, being that the Ministry of Environment dictates this to us, I will move the recommendation.
Thank you very much, Councillor. I have a couple more speakers. First of all, Councillor Wells, then Brunton.
Just a question following up on what Councillor Columbus has said. He mentioned that the ministry has mandated this need. I just wondered if the ministry is sending a check for $3 million.
Yeah, it's in the mail.
Yeah. No one can answer that question, Councillor, but okay. Yeah. Councillor Brunton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to Lee. Lee, what does, what's the, I guess, population, I realize there's maybe some industry in it. What does this service? What's the population or households or something that this whole thing services?
I'm sorry, I don't know the number of households serviced in Delhi. I can certainly get that information for you for tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm just curious because, you know, I'm sure it's a lot of money. And I guess the other question I have is, a while back, Mr. Fields provided us with a memo about what we have to do. We got to look at all these plants, both water and wastewater, on how we can look at moving forward. I mean, we're spending millions on these things, and maybe it's time we looked at his report or his memo and how we're going to, like you pump water to Cortland? Am I right?
Through the chairman to council, this is the wastewater treatment facility, not the water facility, but yes, we do, the water, the Delhi water system is connected to Cortland, and that's the water supply for Cortland.
Yeah. I just, you know, he wrote a very good memo about what we should be looking down the line at, and I hope we don't lose sight of that because these things are killing us, unfortunately. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Councillor Columbus again?
Well, Google says that in 2011, Delhi's population was 4,172. It's about 4,500, I think, now.
Okay, I see no further speakers, and Councillor Columbus has been willing to move the recommendation, and that is that staff report PW 17-17, award of the contract for Delhi Wastewater Treatment Facility filters and UV upgrades be received as information, and that a bylaw be prepared authorizing the mayor and clerk manager of council services to execute a contract with the firm of H2 Ontario, Inc., for this contract in the amount of $3,535,049, excluding taxes. Those in favor? I see no one opposed to that, so it is carried. Thank you, Lee. I think that's the last of your reports then for the time being. We can move down to communications, and we have 3 items of communication to deal with. The first is from Mr. Andrew Moore regarding chickens in urban Simcoe. Any questions or comments of council members regarding this correspondence? Mayor Luke.
Well, this gentleman contacted me a week or so ago, Mr. Chair, and I explained to him that council previously had dealt with this in some fashion, bylaw or otherwise, and that we did not at the time support poultry in the urban areas. And he said, well, what do I have to do to get that changed? And I said, well, you have to have council's decision to change it, and you can simply come and talk to us or send a letter. He opted to send this letter forward. My office received it. It's on the agenda tonight. So that's the background why it's here. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Black.
I don't know if I supported it or not last time, but I can't support this in some of the urban areas. It's just, you know, I personally, I don't think it's a bad idea. It wouldn't bother me if it was regulated properly, you know, all the property sizes were large enough, all of that. But I can just see that this would create a lot of problems. There's going to be a lot of people, not like myself, who would mind these chickens. And if all it takes is 1 or 2 to ruin it for all the ones that do it properly, and I think we're going to have a big problem on our hands, and we're already, you know, our bylaw people are already overworked, so I just can't see this really working out that well. And you talk about concerns about coyotes, you know, and again, if they're not properly taken care of, they're going to attract some negative things like skunks and raccoons and rodents and coyotes. And I'm sure, you know, if the people take care of them, that shouldn't or might not be a problem. But I can see that where it would just further attract these animals that were, some of them that we're having a problem with, like the coyotes. So I can't support it unless, I think we talked about maybe if we were going to do anything, we could do a pilot project maybe and pick a hamlet or something and see how it works out. But I suppose I could support that, but I just couldn't support it in an urban area, specifically a I just can't imagine them on Warrett or up by the golf course or around Berkeley or former mayor's house. We'll put one next to his and see how it works. Okay, that's it.
Thank you.
I hope he's listening.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Height.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would certainly support this. I don't know that Port Dover downtown needs chicken coops to be running around, kind of like Key West in Florida. But in the hamlet area where you have space and it's closer to rural living, I know that there's numerous people down there that already have chickens. But I didn't hear that from bylaw. And so I don't see what the problem was. So I don't know, when did you guys deal with that report? I personally don't remember going over it.
It has been several years, I know that, but
It's been a few years?
yes, it has.
I would move a motion that staff come back with a report to give us some more details on it and maybe make it for hamlets and not urban centers. And
Okay, we'll try and get that motion down, Councillor. Did I miss a
with
hand,
options.
Councillor Columbus? Did you have your hand up? Thank you, please.
When I read this note, I couldn't help but think about the issues we had in Port Dover where the farmer was pasturing his cattle next to the subdivision on the west side of Port Dover. So, you know, and that complaint was flies. So I would think that, you know, flies will come with this, and it might upset some of the neighbors.
Okay, I'm sorry, Councillor Sonnenberg.
I find it odd that Norfolk County, basically agricultural area, would oppose a half a dozen chickens in someone's backyard when they are allowed in major cities around the world. I think Vancouver, Calgary, Montreal, there are big cities that allow chickens in the backyard, and we in Norfolk County frown on it. Odd.
Okay, further speakers? Oh, Mr. Beard, I'm sorry, can you help us a bit here?
Sure, thanks, Mr. Chairman. I did share with council when I saw this come up in the agenda, and perhaps some of you maybe didn't drill down into your emails, but it was 2012, spring, and we did a quick two-page memo that just talked about the merits of it, and if you were to entertain it, some of the things you might want to consider. We polled other municipalities. I'd be glad to share that again, sort of fresh. We can include it in the information package if you wish. And then at that point, if you decide to look at, I guess the issue is hamlet, rural hamlet, or, you know, urban residential. There can be conflicts that way. And I know when we looked at it before, is it worth all the trouble if you can get your eggs at a grocery store or farmer's market? You know, is this something that council really wants to entertain? There's great arguments on both sides, but I'll share that with council in the information package, and then you guys could pull from it if you'd like to give staff further direction, if that's a help, just to get the issue before you.
Thank you, Mr. Baird. We've got two things to deal with now. We have to receive this correspondence as information first of all, and is someone prepared to do that? Councillor Columbus will do so, that we receive the correspondence from Mr. Andrew Moore as information. Those in favor of that? No one is opposed. Now, Councillor Height, you have moved a motion that we direct staff to bring a report back to consider implementing this as a acceptable land use. Now, in light of Mr. Baird's commitment to circulate that former report to us, do you still want your motion dealt with as a...
yes, I do. I've read
Okay.
that report or the letter he sent.
Okay.
Thank you very much. And I'm looking to move forward on it.
Okay, all
There
right.
were some good alternatives and options in there, and a further staff report will allow us to have eggs that taste like eggs, Mr. Baird.
All right, Madam Deputy Clerk, do you have some wording that you can give to us? Councillor Height as moved as follows.
Thank you. Through the chair, moved by Councillor Height, that staff be directed to provide a report with options, possibly including hamlets for trial periods.
To allow, obviously, one or more chickens on the property. Does that capture it okay, Councillor Height?
Sounds good.
All right, speaking to this motion now, Councillor Sonnenberg.
I'm going to support it. You know, we have dogs that bark all night. We have marauding cats up and down our streets. A half a dozen chickens are very, very tame compared to those other animals that roam town.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Black, to the motion.
That's coming from a farmer, you know, but coming from an urbanite, Like I said, personally, it doesn't bother me, but I know there are some people that just would not appreciate Councillor Sonnenberg's comments. It's just, so there's always the two opposing forces, and but I can support looking at this, having a report and maybe a pilot project in one of the hamlets and see how it works out. If it works out fine, then we can expand it. But I just don't think it's going to work out. Not in urban Simcoe. I don't know about Dover and Waterford and Delhi, but I don't think it would.
Thank you. Councillor Columbus to the motion.
Yes, does Councillor Height's recommendation just speak about hamlets?
Well, I
Or
think
does
I
it-
did hear that wording in there, but she said read it again if you don't mind, Madam Deputy
Sure,
Clerk.
that staff be directed to provide a report with options, possibly including hamlets, for trial periods to allow chickens on the property.
Okay, so this doesn't help Mr. Moore at all, who lives at 52 Poplar Street in Simcoe.
I think, Councillor, it would, because it said, looking at options, possibly including hamlets. So
Oh,
to me,
okay.
that's including both urban as well as possibly including hamlets. So, okay?
If that's the way it's understood.
Mr. Baird, do you also interpret it that way, that you're not just limiting this investigation to hamlets based on that wording? Okay. Councillor Height again.
May want to reword that as possibly including hamlets, where it's more probable they'll be acceptable in the hamlets, as opposed to downtown Simcoe. So I don't know if you wanted to take that out, because I'm totally okay with staff just bringing us options, hamlets, urbans, highways, whatever.
It's your motion, Councillor. If you'd like that word possibly including hamlets deleted, then we'll do so.
Yeah, take it out.
Thank you. To the motion now, Councillor Brunton.
Well, I don't have a problem, but with the report, but would that include pigeons? Because there are people that have pigeons around too in the backyards, lots of them. I know a few in town that have pigeons.
The motion would not include pigeons as it's worded, but,
Well, could we amend it?
well, I don't know.
Never mind, never mind.
donkeys.
All right. I see no further hands asking for either further clarification or motions to amend. Councillor Black.
Sounds like it's going to come back with possible options to include an urban area. If that's the case, I won't support it. I would support it if it was just for hamlets, but
Okay.
the way it's worded, I won't.
Okay. Any further speakers on this motion? Do you wish to hear it one more time, or are you okay with it now? Okay. I will call the question. Those in favor of the motion? I see 6. Those opposed? I see 2. Okay, that does carry. So our second item of correspondence, Council, is from Chris Oderjohn, Assistant. Thank you very much, Councillor. Adorjan, Assistant Secretary of Cortland District Lions, regarding a request for support of their hoop licensed area for their special event on May the 10th. Someone prepared to move the recommendation? Councillor Geisens, thank you very much. And that is that we receive the information of the correspondence as information, and that we approve subject to receipt of all required approvals. Any further questions or comments on the motion? Those in favor? I see no one opposed to that, so it does carry. And our third and final piece of correspondence is from Melinda Reith, the municipal clerk and CAO with the municipality of the United Townships of Head, Clara, and Maria, regarding the building code changes. And the recommendation is that we endorse that. And Councillor Wells, I know you asked to have this brought forward, please.
And thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I'm asking council to lend our support for this motion and express our concerns over the proposed change to the Ontario Building Code and the need to pump out septic tanks every 5 years. The problem for me is that here we are trying to fix something that isn't necessarily broken. And we're using a one-size-fits-all that the province seems to always enjoy doing. The problems, as I see them, Mr. Chair, are the rural municipalities haven't asked for this change, And we would come and ask, who's going to pay for the added cost, administration and staff? Most municipalities now have bylaws to regulate septic systems. Where are the rural taxpayers to find the extra money? My personal comments, I can't help but wonder why the provincial government wants to direct/interfere in rural municipalities' business when they seem to have enough trouble looking after their own businesses in the city. Sometimes it's hard to have faith in our provincial government. After the mess they have made with the green energy portfolio, they never seem to accept any suggestions or requests from rural Ontarians, taxpayers, who repeatedly remind them no to wind turbines. And they still continue to put them up. Mr. Chair, the province likes to direct our solutions to the Meisner Dam as another example. And yet they have lots of dams. And I never hear them say anything about their dams and their responsibilities. They seem to like to do what they want without listening to their high-priced experts. And I would cite, for example, finances, their healthcare system. And you can add anything you want to the list, Mr. Chair. And I don't want anybody to think that I am opposed to the Liberal government or the Conservative government or whatever. It's just that this government seems to always find themselves in quicksand. And I get more and more frustrated when I'm being told to support another government-mandated program, and if we don't, they'll get out the big stick and hit us with it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. Any further speakers? Mayor Luke?
I don't think I can speak as well as Councillor Wells on this. That was well done. But, you know, when I first saw this, I said to myself, I wonder what the percentage of septic tanks in Norfolk County, what percentage of septic tanks in Ontario are overflowing, causing issues. And, you know, I suppose our staff could tell us problems they've had with septic tanks in Norfolk County, but I'll be honest with you, I haven't heard of any. I know that we've heard horror stories at times of people punching holes in them and letting it seep out. But most people that have a septic tank, it's their responsibility. They should clean it out. But as Councillor Wells says, there's no hard and fast rule for every septic tank. So I agree. This is just overkill. It's just poking your stick somewhere where you're going to stir up a hornet's nest. Thank you.
Councillor Black?
I'm just wondering, where did the province get the idea that it is a problem? Like, does anybody know, like, where this came from? I don't know if any staff member knows that it
Mr.
must be
Baird
someplace
might be able to
where
help
there's
us
a
on
problem.
this.
Sure. Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I wouldn't suggest that this memo or the concept is flawed, but in Norfolk County, if you can recall, we have municipal well fields that supply water to our urban areas. And as part of the source water protection, that those areas of influence, I think it's going to be important to make sure that those systems that are located within those catchment areas are not failing and not creating any sort of hazard to the water supply system. But I don't, in our experience, I reviewed this with my building staff, and really is not a problem in Norfolk, and with the exception, again, of seeing where we go with the source water protection piece. I don't know, I wouldn't worry about this in Norfolk County at this point.
Thanks, Chris. I really appreciate that. But don't we have something in place with the water protection for our wellheads?
Yeah, I think the source protection plan that we have for the Long Point region, which obviously we're part of, does address, as Mr. Baird said, the need for these kind of inspections within two areas only. One of which is the wellhead protection area A, which is that 100-meter radius around the actual well. And in the case of an area where there is what they call, suddenly I've lost the term, but if there's a particular contaminant that is influencing a well nitrate influent, well, it would be nitrate in the case of some of the Simcoe well fields. They may extend that requirement for periodic inspections to more than just the 100-meter radius around the wellhead, but that would only be, I think there's only the one well system in our municipality that would be affected by that, and that was the Cedar Street well, I think, of the Simcoe system. So that's the context for us. But this building code requirement appears to say for all septic systems, not just within wellhead protection areas, if I'm reading this correctly. So there's the unnecessary factor, I think. Councillor Height on this as well?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Mr. Baird, do you feel that this could be a precursor to having mandatory inspections for septic systems?
Through the chair, the way the building codes have been changing and getting more stringent, I wouldn't rule anything out. But until that day comes, I think we have to stay business as usual. Like anyone that is serviced by a private well and septic system would be, it would probably be in their best interest to have them maintained at normal intervals. And I think that's the question. Certainly 5 years is a bit excessive, but perhaps 25 years is maybe a bit long. You're immediately impacted by your own failure to maintain your septic system.
That's
if
right.
You live in a rural area, so.
Yeah, pay now or pay later. Later's more expensive. Now, I noticed on some of your planning applications or building permit applications, it appears that you're tracking whether they've had septic or holding tank permits or inspections done per property. Is that something from the province or just something planning and building have put together?
No, through the chair, I don't know specifically the example you're referring to, but it's not uncommon for, in a transaction, a sale of property, where a new purchaser or their solicitor would want to have that system verify that it was still functioning effectively well. So sometimes that's a requirement. It could be just an added feature to have your system pumped out clean, inspected to show that it is in fact functioning well.